Now, if we could put up 600L in evidence, Miss Brady. Okay, let's put up 600Y. We looked at that picture before. Where were you guys on this block on 25th Street when you saw Chris Lighty's brother, and attacked him? We were from over here by our office. Indicating the building on the right? Zara over here, the SUV was parked across the street Little D was in. Little D indicating across the street? Derek English across the street, but behind what you can't see on the side of the street. Indicating by the scaffolding across the street in the foreground in the photo? Yes, and I was walking up behind Chris Lighty and Chris Lighty's brother and the guys somewhere around here when the incident took place. So the incident took place indicating around the red awning on the south side of 25th Street? Yes. Thank you, Miss Brady. What time of day was it when you arrived at Zara and heard about the assault? Early evening, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock maybe. And what time of day was it about when you assaulted Chris Lighty's brother? Not too long after. Where was Jimmy when you assaulted Chris Lighty's brother? He was in front of the building. He was also outside? Yes. Now, Mr. Stewart, did you observe Jimmy's attitude toward the feud with G-Unit change at all after the assault on Jabulani? Yes. How did you observe the change? He just changed totally. He was always angry, always thinking about it, always talking about it. Did you discuss with Jimmy a way that you were going to approach the rivalry with G-Unit after the assault on his son? Yes. What was the nature of that discussion? He told me he was going to attack them 3 ways, legally, through music, and the streets. So let's talk about each of those. When you say legally, what do you mean? That he was going to have Cynthia file charges against them for the assault? Who is Cynthia? Cynthia is his, Jabulani's mother. And when you say through music, what do you mean by that? That was for all the press conferences that he was going to hold, to have held to denounce the violence in hip-hop and violence against children and all of that stuff, that campaign. And were there in fact press conferences held? Yes. How do you know? I would see them. What did you see? What press conferences did you see? I saw one on the news with Cynthia talking about it. What else did you see? Who else was? I saw meetings with Al Sharpton that he would have. Who had meetings with Al Sharpton? Jimmy. Russell Simmons talking about it. Dr. Benjamin Chavez. Were there any songs that were written about the feud? Yes. Who performed the songs? A number of songs from Game and G-Unit members back and forth. And how were those songs released? Pretty much on mixtapes. Who would be in charge of releasing them? Of the mix? Of distributing them? Who would be in charge of distributing? The songs. The songs that our artists produce? Correct. Jimmy would be involved in the distributing the records of our artists. So the third way you said Jimmy said was the street. What was your understanding what he meant by that? Violence, us taking it to them violently. What role did you play in all of that? Just being a friend, whatever he needed, whether it be the 3 categories? It ended up being violence. Now, who were the main people involved in the effort to target G-Unit members? The immediate main people were me, Jimmy, Jason, information from Teddy. 4 of you? A lot of people involved with it. Winston, Khalil, but mainly every day around me was us. The 4 of you every day? Yes. Who were the primary targets of the effort? Everybody associated with G-Unit. Was there anyone in particular who you were focusing on? At times, Chris Lighty, because he was real accessible. Who else? 50 Cent, Yayo, Baja. Now, during the time period of 2007 through 2009, about how often did you discuss this feud with Jimmy? Pretty much every day. For how much? How much time every day? Number of times every day. Like minutes, hours, how long? It would never be hours on the phone, but it could be just a quick update of information on the phone. And later on that day, maybe another update back and forth. What were the nature of what's the general nature of these discussions every day? Just passing information. What kind of information? Like who was where, what they were doing, who they be with, or who hangs with who, maybe giving address. Why were you trying to find out where these people were? So we could get even. What does that mean? Commit an assault back or something to give payback for the slapping of Jabulani? Was there a specific discussion of committing assaults? What would the discussion be? Discussions at times would be to shoot up houses. There was never a reference to not, well, there. What were the words that would be used? The actual words? Well, there was a time that words were used in reference to them where Jimmy was like, they ain't gonna understand what it is till them is carrying a coffin and they crying like, I miss my homie, I miss my homie. That was words that was used. Now, what were the ways that you and Jimmy were trying to locate members of G Unit? Through phone numbers, license plates, tracking devices on cars? Tracking devices on cars? What do you mean by that? I told Jimmy one day I know where I can get some GPS tracking devices to put on their cars, and he looked at me and was like, yeah? And I was like, yeah, but they're kind of expensive. And he gave me the money, told him what it was, and he gave me the money to go buy it. How much was it? It was, I don't know, it was over $500. What did you do once you got the tracking devices? Started looking for G Unit vehicles to put it on. Were you ever able to do that? If you had been able to do it, what would you have done? Would have put it on the car and located them, let Jimmy know, and we probably would have assaulted them or shot up the cars and shot them. Do you know if Jimmy spent money on the feud? Yes. How do you know? I was one of the people that was paid. What were the different ways that you saw him spend money? For shootings, for information, spend money on damaging their brand, putting up billboards, flyers, denouncing them. Miss Heller, tell me when is a good time to break? Now is a good time as any. I guessed. Okay, let's take a short break. Don't discuss the case. Keep an open mind. Come to order, please. Jury entering. Be seated. Okay, you're still under oath, sir. Miss Heller? Mr. Stewart, you previously testified before the break about ways that you were trying to locate members of G Unit? Yes. Remember that this morning? Yes. What were you in particular doing? Asking people for information, communicating the information I had received with Jimmy? What? Keep going. Just trying to collect whatever data I can. Why were you doing that? To give to Jimmy so we could retaliate for what they did to Jabulani. Did Jimmy ever ask you to monitor the legal case involving Jabulani as a victim? Yes. What happened? What did he say? There was a day that he called me and let me know that they were going to court, the people that assaulted Jabulani, that they be going to court downtown here in Manhattan, and he wanted me to try to get down there, get some license plate numbers so with the license plates we could get addresses. And what was your understanding of who was charged with that assault? Lodi and Yayo, Lodi Mack and Tony Yayo. Did you make it down there to court to get the license plates? No. Why not? I didn't get down there in time. They were gone by the time I got down there. Did you know if someone else made it there? Yes. How do you know? Jason told me he was down there. What did Jason say he did? That he was down there and he got some license plates numbers? During this time period, did you and Jimmy ever discuss how the rivalry could ever come to an end? Yes. What did you discuss? That was when, like I said earlier, when he said that, they're not going to understand what it is until they're carrying a coffin and they're crying like I miss my homies. What were some other specific conversations you had? Do you remember other specific comments that Jimmy made about actions he wanted to take in the feud? Not sure. Well, maybe let's talk about some specific incidents. Did there come a time when you became more personally involved in the feud? Yes. How were you personally involved? I was personally involved when my Escalade was shot up. Can you describe to the jury what happened with that? I was on Staten Island dropping a friend off at his building, and a person walked up behind the car and started firing into the truck. And a van pulled up in front to box us in so we couldn't go anywhere. And the driver jumped out and started shooting. And also the passenger and 3 people were shooting into the Escalade, into the truck. Were you hit? No. What did you do? I ducked. As shooting stopped, I put the car in drive and attempted to ram their vehicle. And that's when the back door opened up and somebody started shooting out the back of the van, now into the windshield. What color was the van? White. What happened when the back door opened up? Someone was shooting at you? Someone was shooting. I ducked back down and as bullets were hitting the windshield. What did you do next? I got out the car, looked at the car, did the van drive away? Yes, the van drove away. I was waiting for somebody out the building that was coming down to bring me a gun, but I knew as I'm assessing the situation that if I get a gun right now, I'm probably going to get locked up. I need to get out of here. I broke my window so I could see out the window and started driving off. What happened when you started driving off? I noticed a cop car behind me, lights flashing. I kept driving. I tried cutting through a gas station to get to the highway. Another cop car cut me off. Another one came and boxed me in. What happened when you were stopped? I was pulled out, detained and questioned, searched, and later on I was arrested. Why were you arrested? For obstruction of justice. What did you do? Pretty much not being cooperative with the officers. Did you explain to the officers what had happened? No. Did you try to do something that led you to get you arrested? Yeah, I was trying to get back to my car to get my coat and some money I had in the car. And what happened when you tried to do that? I was arrested. What happened with that case? I think it might have been, I'm not sure, it might have been dismissed or I'm not even sure. When did that happen that you were shot or your vehicle was shot? 07. You remember the month? October, maybe November. I'm showing you what's been marked for identification as Government Exhibit 1002. Ask you if you recognize this. What's that? Yes, that. What's that? That's the building that's Park Hill Projects where the shooting happened. The government offers Government Exhibit 1002. No objection. No objection. Can we publish that, Miss Brady, please? Admitted. If we can zoom in. Where, Mr. Stewart, did the shooting happen of your car? I was parked directly across the street from here on the side of the street. Almost from the vantage point of the photograph? Yes. Thank you, Miss Brady. Did there come a time when you found out who had shot at you? Yes. How did you find out? It was confirmed through Jimmy, but I always had an idea. Who was your idea? My idea that it was related to G Unit, Baja and G Unit. And how was it confirmed? Because there were some people that were outside that caught some of the license plate couple letters of the license plate, and I passed that to Jimmy. And through whatever research he did, he found out that there was the same van that was registered to Tony Yayo's brother. It was his van. Under that license plate or part of that license plate? Yes. Were there other incidents in which you were victimized? Yes. Which other incidents? Another incident where they shot up my vehicle again. Another incident where they set my barbershop on fire. And another incident where they tried to kidnap my brother. Let's talk about the barbershop. When was the barbershop set on fire? I don't remember the date, but it was around that time. Around the time frame 08, maybe 09-ish. Was the barbershop burned down? No, it was caught in time, but parts of it were set on fire. Which barbershop was this? The one in Staten Island. What about your brother being kidnapped? What happened with that? He was fighting, making a lot of noise, fighting them off. They were trying to grab him out of his car. They pulled up to him. Well, objection, foundation. Were you there? No, I wasn't there. He told me. It's not for the truth, Your Honor, but I can move on. Then move on. Who did you believe, regardless of what happened, who did you believe tried to kidnap your brother? Members of G Unit, the G Unit associates, street guys. What about the second time that your car got shot up? What happened with that? I was walking into my barbershop. I went to put a gun inside there, and as I was leaving, I start walking to my truck, and I see a guy walking with a bag, and I looked at him. He looked at me. He was a reasonable distance from me, and as I was walking, as I got in the car, just a hunch that let me get out of here, not sit in this car too long, and as I did, as I about to pull off, he just pulls out a gun and starts firing into the vehicle. He starts walking fast, called my guys in the barbershop to get my gun. He got away. Did you recognize the person who shot at your car? At the time, I didn't know who it was, but do you feel you know now? Yes. Why? After, a little bit of research and seeing some pictures, I realized it was Baja. You saw the pictures of the person who shot your car? Yes. Government Exhibit 32, please. And who is Baja? Him. What was his affiliation with G Unit? That's Tony Yayo's manager, road manager, 50's friend. As an aside, what happened to the car? Or withdrawn? You said your car was shot up twice, correct? Mm-hmm. Was that the same car or different cars? Same car, about a year apart. What happened to the car after the second shooting? After the second shooting, I decided it was time to get rid of it, and I called some friends I had in Brooklyn and asked them if they could get rid of the car for me. And they then stripped it, and I reported it stolen, and they sold the parts. What were you trying to do by reporting it stolen? Try not to be responsible for the note of the vehicle and have it paid off. You were trying to commit insurance fraud? Yes. Did that work? No. Why not? They just refused to pay. The insurance company? Yes. Did Jimmy ever tell you that he had been targeted or followed by G Unit members? Yes. What did Jimmy tell you? That there was a night that he was going to a restaurant, and if I remember correctly, it was a night he was going into a restaurant. I think it was Mr. K's, and he saw 50 Cent and some guys, and I think when he was leaving, he was on the West Side Highway, and he noticed like he was being followed, and like they tried to pull up on him, and somehow he just got away. But after that, he shipped his Benz down to Miami. Why did he ship his Benz down to Miami? So they won't know the vehicle he was traveling in, the vehicle he'd be in. What car was that? That was a Mercedes. He had a white Mercedes. What model? S550.